Why are humans such dirty pig shits? And I include myself in that.
I don't know because they just are. They just are.
It's so bad. Like I consider myself like a relatively clean person. Like I'm not OCD. I'm not like bathing myself in alcohol.
Oh, you mean
Like that.
literal dirty? You mean literal dirty? Not
Yeah, like little
okay.
dirty.
Okay.
What were you thinking?
I thought you just meant like generally like just were bad people, that
Oh
kind of
well,
dirty. But
aye.
you mean like literally dirty, like
Literally dirty
literally?
because
Okay.
I like I was just before the podcast. Like, I was just sort of doing some cleaning in the kitchen. I'm cleaning the windies. I'm cleaning my skirting boards. I'm doing, the full work. And the whole time I'm just thinking, I actually hate you. Like, to me, for making this mess. I hate you for having to do this. Like, there's dust, and obviously that's coming for me, and the dog hair's not so bad, but just random like wee food stains, over in the kitchen table, or anybody that lives anywhere will know exactly what I'm talking about. Where you're cleaning, and you're just like, I hate me. Why did I not just clean this earlier, or But people are dirty pig shits, and it's bad. It's so bad.
That is bad. I'm usually I'm like that when I do the dishes. If like there's something that's been clearly like something that's clearly going to be a pain in the ass to clean if it's left to later, because it'll like just get stuck to the fucking like the pot or the plate or whatever. It's like if you clean it immediately, it'll wash off like instantly. But if you leave it like even like a day, then it's like no, it's a fucking chore. Elbow grease to fuck to try and get it off, and you're just like fuck me.
It's just, I guess one of these things that because modern living is kind of so perfect that these wee things like having to clean shit. Just I think we're at a really funny point technology wise where we're so advanced, but we've still not got self-cleaning technology.
I know, that thing where you're just like, you start questioning it, where you're like, technology's so advanced we can go into space, how come I can't have something that just cleans my house for me? Fucking god damn it.
Why can't I have a Rosie the robot who gives me sassy lines and cleans my house?
Oh, fucking aye. Rosie the robot.
Loved her.
I need a Roomba that can do my dishes, empty the bins, fucking...
Ask you how your day is as well,
fucking, aye.
We're talking futuristic.
No.
But yes, welcome to the podcast, everyone, all the listeners. Happy to have you.
Welcome.
This week, my neighbour thought I was waving at them, but I was literally just cleaning my windows. Really awkward.
That is fucking hilarious. And also, like, just that sounds like something that would be like in a sketch comedy show.
I kind of did think that they were kidding on at first, but like, see, after I kind of did it, I waved back, and I kind of we're not even going to talk about it. What's your bit? What's your bit?
That's so funny. I'll be honest. There's only one interesting thing I could think of to like up for the intro, and I know we usually don't elaborate on the intros, but I kind of want to talk about it as well.
It's our show. It's our rules. Let's break it.
So this week, I'm Red. Hello, welcome, listeners. And this week, I maybe almost killed a squirrel. I don't know if it would have actually, but I nearly.
Maybe almost.
I don't know, because I'm not sure how good they are at landing from heights.
This is just Pandora's box. I think this maybe is a situation you maybe need to describe.
So I woke up.
I have this image of you just like, I don't know, somehow acquiring a squirrel, being at a great height, and then just, somehow losing control of the squirrel. And there's just so many variables and questions.
So I live on the second floor of these. I live in like what would you call it? A bungalow?
Semi-detached.
Semi-detached house. We're on the second floor, me and Frank.
Yeah.
So, and I'm
right, you don't get before you continue. You don't get a second floor in a bungalow.
Aye, right. I always get confused what a bungalow is, and I don't know why.
It's such a weird thing. Yeah. Sorry, continue.
So I was sleeping the other day, as you do, and I woke up. I woke up and I was in that phase where you're like, I'm awake, but I'm still feeling really tired. I don't want to get up immediately. I want to just kind of lie in bed for a bit. So I was just lying there, and I started hearing a noise coming through outside my window. And at first I thought it was a bird, just squawking away or doing its usual shite. But then I realised, I was like, wait, that's not a bird. What the fuck is that? And it was just a noise. It was just going like like that, constantly for like minutes, like just constantly that noise. And I was like, what the fuck is that noise? And I was like, and I realised it sounded very close to me. Like, it didn't sound like it was like, sounded like it was outside, but no far away. And I was like, right, what the fuck? So I go up, and I just opened my curtains, and there was just a squirrel just chilling on my windowsill outside. And I was just cute. I was like, why are you up here? I was just looking at it like, what is this doing up here? And it wasn't looking at me, it was like looking away, so it was just his back to me, so it didn't see me. And I was just looking at it, and well, at first I was so tired. When I opened it, it was just like its tail, and I was like, and I thought it was a bird still, and I was like, but it was like just a big fluff, and I was like, what the fuck? And then like I looked at it a bit more, and I was like, oh, it's a squirrel, and I was just like, what the fuck? Why are you up in my window? There's nothing up here for you. I was just like, oh my god, and it kept making that noise, and I was like, that's so annoying. And I like tried to tap the window to get its attention, to make it like hoping that it would see me. Hoping that it would hear it, turn around, see me, and be like, oh fuck, and then like go and leave. To be like, oh fuck, there's a person there. Because, they're not usually that.
Aye, they're not usually socialised. Kind of thing, yeah.
So that's what I was hoping. Tapped the window, nothing. It just ignored it. Like, I didn't even hear it. And I was just like, what the fuck? And I tried it a few times, and it just kept ignoring me. And then I was getting frustrated with it, so I was like, right, I'm gonna open my window just enough to touch the squirrel, to just tap it, so that it like it'll be like, what the fuck is that, and turn around.
Yeah, get away
right.
Straight, yeah.
So I tapped it, and it just freaked out, and then like went down. I just saw it drop through the windowsill.
Oh.
Right, and I was like, oh shit, has it just fell? Have I just made that a fall? And I was like, and I felt bad. So I went to get. I was like, and I was in my head. I'm like, well, they're very light, and it's a high drop, but it's not that high a drop. Maybe they can land that fine, or maybe it just like climbed down. I don't know. So I freaked out, and like I got dressed and like went out to see if I could like find it.
Yeah,
and
the splat for where it hit the ground. Yep, the splat.
So
brains leaking out. Family surrounded by the body, crying. What happened to her?
Aye, yeah. So I went out and just like, and I was looking, and I looked up at where my window is, and it was still up there, just like attached to the wall. And like there's like I don't know what, I think it was there's a pipe. I think there's a pipe that's coming out from the bathroom that's like next to my bedroom.
Yeah.
And it's like goes down under my window and across, and then down. So it was like had its like front paws, I guess you would call them, on that, and it was like handstanded on that, and then its back legs like attached to the wall. It was just sitting there, and I was like, okay, so it didn't fall. It's just chill. It's just like it went down and it's just chilling there. And I'm like, all right, it's a squirrel. It'll be fine. It fucking climbs trees and shit. It'll probably be fine up there.
Aye.
So I went back in, and then later I went to like empty some bins. And I looked to see if it was still there, because it was like quite a while later, and it was just gone. So I was like, okay, it must have just like climbed in. But I was like thought for a second that I'd pure killed it by pure pushing off. But I don't know. To me, I'm like, I don't think it would die for that, like falling that kind of height, because like they're very small. So, and I don't know.
Well,
I genuinely don't know.
I honestly thought your story was going to end like with the SSPCA coming out and being like, leading you in handcuffs into one of the back of their vans or something. But interestingly enough, I think that I looked this up before in like terms of like things falling, what would survive. And I think if you're anything smaller than a hamster, then basically you don't have enough density in order to cause momentum. So
Aye.
you'll fall and you maybe get hurt a wee bit, but it wouldn't be the equivalent of say me or you falling out the window because there's obviously a lot to us. You know, we've got a lot of mass and there's a lot of physics and stuff like that. But a squirrel, I feel like a squirrel would be okay.
Okay, so I did just Google it just to see, and it does say that squirrels can survive impact. Even they can survive impacts at terminal velocity. So I'm sure it would have been fine if they'd fallen like 2 floors.
What does that mean, terminal velocity?
I guess whatever it would take for them to reach terminal velocity. If they fell far enough to reach their terminal velocity, they would still survive it. I think terminal velocity basically just means how far a thing has to fall to die from the impact.
Yeah.
Instantly, like just instantly be dead. But they, I guess, don't really have one.
Yeah, because they're so light that I think with people falling out of buildings, the longer they're falling, the more speed and momentum they kind of build up.
Yeah, so like you have to fall at a certain amount, a certain height to reach that.
And I guess a squirrel is really light and fluffy, so it wouldn't really gather any momentum or speed. It would almost floaty glide.
Yeah.
But
also,
please don't throw out rodents out the window. Please don't try that.
Also, I do find it funny that when I was Googling it, rather than when I was Googling, would a squirrel die from falling? For some reason, one of the autocompletes was, does a squirrel get hurt from fall damage? Like it's a fucking video game. Like, who calls it fall damage in real life?
Maybe it's like a perk for anything under a certain weight. You know, they don't get hit by fall damage. That's hilarious.
That's just so funny to me.
It's kind of scary though. Actually, like just thinking about it, because I think language is a really important thing, right? And language is something that we use every day, but language changes constantly, and that's a great example of how a younger generation or a newer generation can change the way that we speak and the words that we use. For example, they've obviously went, does a squirrel get fall damage? Like a boomer would be like, what the fuck's fall damage? Damage when you fall? But like people who've played games and stuff like that understand the reference, that it's a fairly modern term.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think it's a wee bit scary that, or the prospect that the language I use today might not be the language used tomorrow. I'm old. I'm old.
It's true. I mean, aye. There's already been a few years of me running into new slang that I don't understand, and it annoys me because it's just like, oh, I'm old. There's new slang that I don't get, and I have to Google to find out what the fuck it means.
There's one slang. There's a bit of slang that I've heard recently that must just be cutting edge that, you know, I don't have a meaning or reference for. It's something like chuggy.
Chuggy? I don't even have that.
Or chuggy, or do you know? It's probably something that somebody's just made up to see if you know other people will adopt it. But yeah, language it'll change, and I guess do you know it'll be an interesting thing to see. Like, obviously, you know, we've never really set a term on how long we're going to be doing the podcast, but say we do the podcast for a year, 2 years, it'd be interesting to look back a couple of years to see how the language has changed, if that makes sense.
I wonder
or not even just on our podcast, but like in podcasts in general. Because you get podcasts that have been doing it for like years and years and years.
Curious how long it'll be until how long will it be until sheesh becomes cringe and no cool to say anymore. That's what all the young people say now.
What word?
Sheesh.
Like what?
Have you not seen that?
I'm old.
That's a pretty popular one. A lot of people do that. You know, they go like they'll see if you see somebody wearing like If you see somebody wearing like an outfit that looks really nice, and you're like, oh, that, rather than saying, oh, that looks, good, you would
Good,
just
great,
go
yeah.
sheesh. That's the new
What?
thing. That's the new thing. That's what they say.
Right, it sounds to me like you're saying sheesh.
That is exactly what I'm saying.
Right, okay, so that's good. My hearing works. It's just the brain part that I'm struggling with. Right, so to me, when I hear the word sheesh or anything like that, like I think of, to me, it's an Americanism of a sign of dismay. Like, rather than going like, oh damn, or oh god, you'd go, oh sheesh.
Aye. So, I think I think that's the original meaning of the actual just word. Is sheesh is like, oh sheesh, like you're like, oh god.
Aye.
But now it's young people use it as a, I guess term of endearment. Like I'll watch people playing like, like fucking that game Valorant, and they'll like get like a really good round, and then other teammates will go sheesh because they're really good. Like just that's how it's used.
Wow. I
Mm-hmm.
don't like this, and I'll tell you why exactly I don't like this, right? You know, the older we get, the more definitions for words we have. So, like, for now, right? I've reached the age of 31, and I now have two definitions for the word sheesh, and they both mean completely different things. One, an act of dismay; another, an act of encouragement.
I mean that's
I don't.
that's what slang has been about for years. I mean, fucking. People used to in the 90s and that, you'd be like, people would be like, "Oh, that is bad," and it would be like, that would actually mean it's good.
Well,
People have said that slang like that for for a very long time. I think that's just
Mhm.
aye.
I mean, I certainly remember a piece of slang from when we were in high school that um, was good. People, if something bad happened, or not even bad, if something that you just didn't like happened, oh, that's gay.
That's definitely
Oh, that's gay. Oh, that's gay.
aye.
Oh,
I think that was a thing everywhere.
yeah,
I don't,
well, it was fairly well known.
well
It's
in Western countries at least,
mhm.
probably. People would use gay as a as a
um,
synonym for something bad.
yeah,
Aye.
yeah.
I'd say I'm curious if I don't know. I'm curious if that was like more that if that was more of a, like a 90s early 2000s thing exclusively. Like I don't know if that was.
Yeah.
I don't know if gay was used in that way before that. I'm not sure when that.
No,
I'm not sure when that started, but it did seem to be it did seem to definitely be it was definitely a thing when we were younger. Obviously,
yeah,
I'm
definitely.
curious how like
Yeah,
when that started exactly, when it went for like. Because gay, obviously, I mean, originally everybody always talks about how gay used to mean happy, like
happy. Yeah, that's
years and
right.
years and years ago.
Like I think in the 50s and the 60s,
Aye,
gay meant happy.
I mean, fucking Flintstones, gay old time,
Flintstone,
fucking
gay old time. Yep, we loved a gay old time.
love the gay old time. So, aye, that's fucking. It's weird how that's fucking. I don't know. It's a strange thing because like I feel like it's one of the things where when you tell people, because there's probably people from our generation nowadays that still will use that in that
Oh
way,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And if you say to the people like, oh, you shouldn't have used that way, that's kind of shitty. You shouldn't be like
Hmm.
used the word gay as a synonym for something bad, and they'll usually say like, oh, but I don't mean it like.
They don't mean
They're
it
like,
that way.
I don't mean it
Yeah,
that way. I don't have any problem with gay people. And that. It's like, okay, but like, I know you're using it in a way because you used it when you were young, and
hmm,
like that's the context you use it in because you didn't. That was just what people said. But even if you're not meaning it that way, it's still
yeah,
shitty for people. Like if somebody who is gay overhears you using that as a synonym for something bad, it'll make them feel shitty.
yeah. And they probably won't want to sit and hear your explanation as to what way you meant it or how you
Aye,
intended it.
it's just
I
like,
thi-
aye,
yeah, it is a really weird thing. Like, I guess it's really that especially is just really passive homophobia. you know, like you're not being explicitly homophobic. You're just being implicitly homophobic.
So it's that difference of being hateful. You're not being hateful, but you're being ignorant. You're being very
Yeah,
ignorant.
exactly. It's not like there's the thing. I think being ignorant, it's it's not exactly a bad thing, and it's not exactly a good thing. It's just a thing. If you're ignorant of something, it just means you haven't learned the information that stops you from being ignorant. For example, you really shouldn't use that. Oh, that's gay, because that's really ignorant, and that's kind of homophobic.
Yeah.
You know.
And then, but then after, but you'll obviously then get people who will, even once being told that, will still use it
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
because they don't care, and it's like, okay, then you're just an asshole. Then
Alfred had it right. You know, some people just want to watch the world burn, and if you turn around to someone and say, "You saying that or doing this thing," that really offends me. That hurts me. That makes me feel bad. They will go, "Oh, that makes you feel bad? Prepare to feel worse." Because I'm just going to keep doing it and run it into the fucking ground until no one feels bad about it anymore. Because I don't feel bad about it.
Ugh.
Which is essentially like you're pretty much telling people, I don't care about you, your feelings, anything like that. I'm set. So now what?
Aye.
In fact, can I tell you a wee story? Right, like now, probably learned the hard way. Twitter's no the place for nuance.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
It's not the place for subtleties, or I would say it's definitely not a place for starting a well-meaning conversation.
Oh no.
No. Okay. So there was some thing, right? And it was Manny Pacquiao. You know Manny Pacquiao? I hope I'm saying that right. He's a
No.
boxer from I think I'm sure it's the Philippines. I might be wrong in that, but he's a boxer and he's had some very conservative Christian views on
Right.
homosexuality.
Okay.
Now, I don't think that Manny is like inherently homophobic. I don't think he wakes up every day and goes, "Wow, how can I make gay people miserable today?" I don't think that he operates like that. I think maybe it's more to do with his religion, and maybe that they're preaching um, things and stuff like that. You know, they're preaching that homosexuality is maybe a sin, and you know it's going to get punished, and blah 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 blah. So I don't think he's homophobic, but it doesn't stop the things that he's saying or the things that he's repeating from church any less homophobic.
Yeah.
So somebody posted a video of him doing like this Scottish accent, and it was, Manny's Scottish accent is killing me. And I thought about that, and I'm like, you know, homophobia kills. It really does. Like when you spread homophobia and you're with homophobia rather than against it, you know, people have died. There's been many queer and gay people who have died simply because they were gay and someone else didn't like it.
Yep.
So I commented and I was kind of maybe hoping to start a conversation. And as I say, Twitter is not the place for nuance or subtlety. So I replied saying, "Well, what about his homophobia?" Just asking about it, you know, like, does his homophobia kill you? No, it kills. Homophobia kills some people. I'm not. Let me be clear. I am not saying that Manny Pacquiao, the boxer, is going out and killing gay people. I am saying that homophobia, allegedly, homophobia kills people, and it's true, it does. And so, what followed just made my head spin. Like, it was very difficult for me to process the things that I was seeing because I was like, this is 2021. This isn't me back in high school kind of thing. Basically, the replies were, and what about it? I think it's great.
Yeah, that's about how it goes.
And I was just kind of like, obviously there's nobody to look at and be like, can you believe that? Can you know, because it's just you and your Twitter mentions. But I was just kind of like, right, obviously, you know, somebody on the other end's like, oh, I'm going to annoy this wee fucker. Or he's want to ruin the party, bringing in people's homophobia. Good for homophobia. And I was just kind of like, basically, I didn't know these people still existed. You know, I
Yeah.
didn't think.
Oh
I
yeah.
didn't think.
Oh,
I
they
didn't
they
think
very
that.
much they very much exist.
I have been living in a bubble. I have been living in a bubble because I kind of just thought that maybe everybody, our generation, are relatively um, relaxed when it comes to people's identities. You know, if that's whether that's gay, straight, bi, um, asexual, whether you want to identify with a certain type of subculture, I would say that our generation and younger don't tend to really judge you for it.
Usually not. Usually not. You're not
Usually
go-
not.
You're very like you're very less like you're yeah you're much less likely to run into someone who is outright uh homophobic or racist or anything like that. That is like our age group or younger usually, but they do exist,
Yeah,
sadly,
yeah.
and there's
And
a decent amount of them, and
Twitter brings in it.
especially on the internet, especially on
Yeah.
websites like Twitter.
hmm
Yeah, it's fucking.
It's
There's
almost
sick
like
people.
well, I wouldn't say that they're. I wouldn't say that they're sick because sick implies that they could get better.
True,
I would
true.
I would say that they are just flat out ignorant. That anything that kind of challenges their worldview on something that they don't like, they don't want to hear it because to me they're happier in releving in um you know, a hate that's comfortable over maybe showing compassion that's uncomfortable for them because they've never done it before.
Yeah, they don't. They're the kind of people that don't want to be challenged in any way in their
hmm
beliefs. They think what they think, and even if you show them indisputable evidence that opposes the way they think
Oh, they don't want to
or
know.
their opinion on something, they do not want to know at
Nope.
all. They do not want to know about it. They will just get more hateful and more ignorant about it, and it's just like, okay, there's literally no. It's I try to argue or discuss it with those kind of people as you might as well talk to a brick wall. You're not going to
Yeah.
get anywhere,
No.
and
And
it's best to just hope they don't breed. To be
yeah,
honest,
yeah, or spout their shitty ideas.
yeah,
I think that it's I don't know, as I say, it's like people just kind of relevant in a comfortable hate. Um, I personally don't get it because if I'm wrong about something, I want to be told that I'm wrong about it. Do you know? So uh, I don't want say I said something that was maybe factually incorrect.
mm.
I would want somebody to be like, actually, you know that didn't blah 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 blah. But oh, thank God. I've never basically what I'm trying to say is I've never really met a group of people other than people like that that aren't happy to be educated.
Yeah,
It's almost like people like that are they did their bit at school, they learned whatever bits they had to, but the way that they want to live their life is everything to do with one aspect of something, and that they just run with it. They don't want to know anything else.
I do wonder what makes people like that. What like gets what happens in somebody's life to make them think that changing their ideas and opinions on things by learning more knowledge is somehow bad. Like it's somehow a negative thing
Yeah.
to learn new information and then change your opinion on something based on the information you've learned. How is that? How do they grow up thinking that's a negative thing?
Well, they don't
And
grow up. That's the thing. They don't grow up. They don't learn to entertain new ideas or. Well, let me put it to you this way, right? The opinions that you have when you were 12, do you still hold those opinions?
no,
I
Not,
don't.
not even
I,
close.
there's-
I don't know how
I
a
do
lot of
not.
the I don't know how a lot of the opinions I had like 10 years ago.
Exactly. But there's people out there that literally have the same opinion of everything from the day they started school to the day they die.
Aye.
Because I think I was watching a video and I can't remember what the subject was or the context was, but um, basically it was about like institutional ideas that people find it hard to break away from.
Mm.
And I think, I guess, a good Scottish example would be the whole football old firm thing.
Oh, aye. Jesus.
You know, you're always made to pick a side, even if you want nothing to do with it. And basically, what it was, the video was arguing that obviously it wasn't about Rangers or Celtic, it was about something else, but it was arguing that these ideas are hard to step away from or grow from because doing that means a deviation from the norm,
Mm.
and it means that rather than you being in amongst that crowd, you're now separate from that crowd. So some people just, it really is just out of fear of being alone or standing out, that they're like, I have to blend in or I have to be part of this culture or identity.
That's basically what high school and school in general does to kids. It teaches them harshly that you better be with you better like like the things that are cool and that other people like, or you're going to be treated like an outcast and have no friends.
Definitely. The thing with school is it's wild. Like, I don't think school teaches you anything other than you need to conform.
Pretty much.
Like, even I think, not that I ever had the experience, but I think like people who are like really popular boys or really popular girls had the exact same problems as the people who weren't popular. Like, they still had to fit in and say the right things, and it was no matter who you were at school, I think you were always kind of balancing on a knife edge of what other people are thinking about you.
Aye,
Because
absolutely.
you don't ever really think about yourself in high school other than what are people thinking of me,
Aye,
or how.
it's literally you base your entire you base so many of your social choices on how other people will think about you,
Mm-hmm,
rather
definitely.
rather than doing the thing you actually want to do.
Can I share, like, let me share a story. Like, in maths, there was these two people. I can't remember if this was a maths class that we were in together or not. But I was in a maths class, and there was these two people there, and they were speaking in Elfish from Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
And this was a point where this was before the movies and that. So, if you were a fan of Lord of the Rings and you were a real fan of Lord of the Rings, like you'd read the books, that was the only kind of media other than the really shitty animated movie.
Mm.
And they were speaking Elfish, and at the time, I'm like, I'm hearing it, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of nice, but it's different, and it's no different that I know.
Mm.
So I'm like, so I point it out, I'm like, oh, what you then? And it's like, oh, we're speaking this from Lord of the Rings, and I think I made fun of them, or I probably did make fun of them. I'm like, oh, that's so geeky. Oh my god, like, oh my god, kind of thing. And it's, see, thinking about it now, I love Lord of the Rings. I absolutely love Lord of the Rings, and see if my energy was more in the terms of, oh, that sounds interesting, I want to find out more about that, rather than that's different, I need to put a stop to that.
Aye. That's
And that's high school. That's what high school does to you. It literally it exposes you to all these ideas, but makes you want to take to do with none of it, unless it will make you liked.
pretty much. It's that thing where like if you were in a situation in high school where two like a group of like two people were doing something like that, they were sitting talking about something like that was like at the time considered geeky or nerdy, which wasn't cool, and even if you were interested in it and you did think it was like a really cool thing, if other people were making fun of them for it, you would have to sit there and be like, aye, haha, look at them.
Yeah.
It's just because you're like, I don't want to be on their side. I want to be on this side because this side's better.
Exactly.
Because at the time, that's just what it is. It's fucking.
As I say, I think everybody in high school, everybody who's went to high school, has probably had not the same experience, definitely not, but they've had very similar experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you could go or pick any two people from anywhere in the world where there's like education, and that would be something that they would both be able to talk about. High school, man, that was rough. I had all this pressure on me. I had to study. My parents were on my back. Grandparents on my back. I had to do this. I had to do that. I couldn't really make friends. Everyone's got essentially a bad experience from high school, and I think that if you've got a good experience from high school, then you were a bitch. You were the bitch. You're the one that made life hell for everybody else.
And it's such a shame because like when you're that age, it seems like the most important thing in the world, and then like a couple of years after high school, you realise like, man, this shit was like, who fucking gives a fuck about high school?
Yeah.
Like you're like, I don't even talk to the majority of the people that I
don't
knew.
Need to talk to them.
I don't need to talk to them. Like none of that really mattered. Like why did I give so much of a shit about what these arseholes thought of me? Mm-hmm. Like so quickly you realise how fucking pointless like caring about that shit was. But when at the time when you're going through puberty and all that shit, it is like the most important thing to you because it's like it's what you're spending all your time doing. So it's like to you, it's like, oh, that's important. I need to make sure that I'm that I do well and socially and like in my education. But it's like in reality, it's like it's not that big a deal.
Exactly. I think teachers have got a lot to answer for. Like I do agree that education is probably one of the finest things in life that you'll ever get to experience, and we're obviously very lucky to be in Scotland where education is free, which I think is a wonderful thing.
It is pretty great.
But
yeah,
it is not the be and end all of life. You don't need to get A's in your exams to achieve anything in life.
Yeah.
You can achieve plenty in life, one, by being authentic to you, and two, by trying to create a life that you can be happy with or that makes others happy. You don't have to be Einstein, you don't have to be Plato, you don't have to be these things to achieve a great life. You can achieve a great life by having a nice garden that you're really proud of.
Mm-hmm.
Or, like making videos that bring other people comfort and joy.
The whole high school, the whole system of education is a fucking mess that really needs to be looked at, I think, and rethought. It's a fucking, it's hard. I mean, even things that you never questioned in school, really, like homework. Like when you think about homework as a concept, when you're a kid, you just get given it, and you're just like, okay, this is just what that is done. You don't question it, really. You hate it because you're like, homework, I have to do more stuff at home, but you don't really question it. You're just like, oh, that's just how it is. But like, when you think about homework, it's such bullshit. Why the fuck do we have? Is homework a thing that exists? Like, kids spend what, 7-8 hours in school?
In school, yeah.
And then it's like, oh, that's not enough. We need to give them shit. It's not enough. We need to give them shit that they have to spend time doing at home. At home where they should be spending time, maybe learning a new skill, or playing a sport, or socialising with friends, or
or just leisure.
No, we need to cram as much of their time as possible into doing this shit, and into caring about the numbers and grades that they get, and it's just why? I think
that I think we're in defence of homework. I think that, see, if it was something that you were interested in doing, there wouldn't be a second thought, or you wouldn't consider it homework. But you're right, like if you've sat in class and you've done, your head's mush because they're trying to force all this maths into your head, and then, an hour later, you're running about daft, getting pelted by dodgeballs, and then an hour after that, you're in chemistry, and it's so much for your brain to kind of try and process and absorb, and then above that, they're asking you to go home and do more.
It's
No.
fucking. It's a joke. It's
No.
fucking one of the main things about that I think has been talked about for quite a few years now is they really need to make less things in schools mandatory.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason that people need to learn complex algebra in high school.
Mm-hmm.
You're never going to use it. It's so pointless to learn. Learn basic math, obviously. Learn how to do a lot of basic math, and well, maybe a bit more than basic math. Obviously, like learn how to do the things, but you should spending all the time on like complex algebra or like poetry in English. It's like, I don't give a fuck about poetry. I have no interest in poetry. If people care about poetry, if you have an interest in poetry and that's an option for something to take and learn more about, then that's great. But not everybody should be forced to learn things that they don't have an interest in and aren't going to use. If it's not something that has a real life, real world application on like a regular basis, it shouldn't be a mandatory thing to learn.
I agree to an extent. I do think that they should, in schools, teach you enough maths so that you can do your own taxes.
Yeah.
Or if you want to, say, do your own business, you don't want to go into further education, you want to just hit the ground running and start your own business, then you should have the math knowledge to be able to accommodate that. But I do have to disagree on the poetry kind of thing, because I think that's it's a different kind of education in which it's less to do with the poetry and it's more to do with how you're thinking about it. So say for instance, the teacher bleeds on about the blue door, and how much it represents and stuff like that. It can give people a different way of looking at things. So, who gives a fuck, it's just a blue door. But then, somebody who maybe wants to go into like the creative arts or film production and stuff like that, where there's a lot of visual elements, stuff like that can have a profound effect where they're like, wow, that person told almost a whole story just through a door. But that is what I would consider a kind of specialist interest. And not everybody's going to have an interest in poetry, like you say. Like, there may be poems out there that you would identify with and you might really like, but is it really something that you want to spend a time in your life where things are a bit frustrating because of hormones and frustrating because of school? You're not want to sit down and think about the complexities of life. You're already going through them. Does that make sense?
I mean, it could be good to like have like the first somewhat like some number of years in school is spent learning a lot of this stuff, a lot of different things, and a lot of the basics to a lot of these different things. But then once you get to a certain point, maybe after the first like year or two into like high school, is like you get to like be like, right, no, here's choices of what you actually want to learn, rather than it being like, okay, so even though you've learned and did some certain subjects, like, oh, you've learned about biology and you've got some basic knowledge of certain things about biology, but rather than being like, oh, but do you have to continue to take that for the rest of high school? No, it's like, do you want to continue to learn more into this? And it's like, if I have an interest in it, yes. If I don't have an interest in it, no.
I mean, when I was at school, I never really had an interest in learning another language. Not one.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if it was French, German, whatever. There could be no language that you would present to me at that time in high school and being like, do you want to learn this? And I would have went, yeah. But I remember picking my subjects in fourth year for going on to fifth year and sixth year, and I wanted to do art and design, and I also wanted to do technical drawing. So obviously one's very expressive and one's very like technical and precise and stuff like that. It's maybe more for architects or landscape planning, stuff like that kind of thing. But I wanted to do both because I really enjoy drawing and I really enjoy starting off with a blank bit of paper and having something at the end of it, whether that's something really rigid or something really expressive. It didn't really matter to me. But they, at the time, turned around and went, you can't do both, it's one or the other.
I
And
don't
I'm
know.
like,
I'm not sure how it is in like other places, but here in like in Scotland, we like you do the first 2 years of high school, and then like third year you do get a kind of a choice of subjects, kinda. There's still
kinda, yeah.
mandatory ones where it's like you have to do math, you have to do English, you have to do one type of science, and then you have to do one language at least. So like you kind of get a choice, but no, really, it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And it's weird for them. I don't know. It's a strange thing for them to be like, you're like, okay, well, can I just not do French and instead do this other creative thing or do this other science because I care about science? And they're like, no,
Yeah.
you can only do one science and you have to do one language. It's like, why though?
Yeah.
It's why.
I think that if school was kind of more tailored towards the individual, and it is difficult because you only have so much like faculty and teachers and stuff to accommodate, you know, whatever, how many students there are. But for instance, take my example of wanting to do two kind of different types of drawing instead of a language. I can't see a single issue with a teacher going, right, this is how we'll work it, and this is your timetable. You don't have to do a second language. Because it'd be different if I had said to my guidance teacher from first year to fifth year, I want to be an architect in Spain. So then obviously Spanish and technical drawing would be two things that I absolutely could not live without. But if I just wanted to be an architect, then I don't need the Spanish. So why would I not pick something else that would help kind of bolster the set of skills that I've kind of grew throughout the first 3-4 years?
Yeah, and like not only is there the issue of forcing you to take classes for stuff that you maybe don't have the interest in, but then there's stuff that they just don't teach that you're like, why do they not teach that? Why is there no a class in like first aid, learning first aid,
100%.
learning CPR, like shit like that, basic like health things that a person can learn, any person could learn, that would be very useful in a lot of situations. You know what I mean? Like, why shit like that not being taught?
Do you know what I would be really happy with? I would be so happy if they dropped a language, whatever language from the curriculum, and replaced it with like British Sign Language. Like, to teach first aid, I think would be a great thing for kids to know first aid. Think of all the times that you as a kid were maybe out and one of yous maybe fell off a tree, or yous go into situations where yous maybe needed an adult for first aid. But if you already knew that, then you could do it.
Aye.
And with British Sign Language, I think that if people knew that, I don't know, I feel like to communicate non-verbally with everyone around you would be a great thing.
No.
Like in times where you maybe have to be quiet, or in times where you maybe run into deaf people, because it happens, and you'll run into like blind people as well, and maybe that it should be like a British Sign Language / Braille, or maybe just like an exercise in taking a moment to realise that maybe not everyone in the world is at the same stage as you.
Aye.
So
like
to kind of stop and take note kind of thing.
Fucking life, like just a life skills class. Here, the day we're going to learn how to do CPR. Fucking next week we're going to learn how taxis work. Week after that we're going to learn about what it's like to have a child and the cost that it has and all that, so that people can understand like what a fucking, that it's not just something that everybody needs today, and just shit like that is very very useful for a lot of people, but they just don't bother.
No, they really don't. Which, to me, again, it's like it feels as though we're so far in the future where we should be like, oh, well, this should be where our education is. But we're kind of almost stuck in the past in a way because the stuff that they're teaching us is kind of outdated. Like, nae hearn, but when we were obviously when we started high school, home economics was a thing,
Yeah.
and they taught you how to sew and they taught you how to cook to a degree. But a lot of people just kind of seen it as a throwaway class. It was never a serious thing. But do you know it's a good thing to know how to sew at least a rip in your trousers,
Aye.
or how to boil an egg. There should be like a kind of almost a foundation level of knowledge that I don't need to know how to sew a fucking pin-up skirt. I don't plan on making skirts, but if you show me how to maybe sew a tear on my trousers, great. And then after that, if you could show me, as you say, CPR or first aid, or what to do if you come across someone and they're unconscious, how to put them into the recovery position and stuff like that.
Aye. I do, I do find it funny that, like, we had in our home economics, if you whenever you would learn anything about cooking, everything you would cook would either be baking something or soup. That's it.
Yeah.
Every single thing's like, learn how to make this soup, learn how to bake this thing, and that was it.
Yep.
Like, wow, good thing that there's nothing else I eat or will want to eat.
I know, like, they should have been like, here is a roast chicken. We are going to roast a chicken today.
Aye.
And instead, it was like, oh, we're going to make fairy cakes today, and you can pick the sprinkles.
Aye. Oh, and the next week we're making scones. Like, oh wow, so different.
I know, like, oh, I think half the shit we made in home economics was just shit to take home to your mum and dad, wasn't it? It really was. Like, even in techie, woodworking and stuff like that, you'd make stuff like a spice rack or a cheese board. Like, I'm 14, I don't have spices, and I don't have cheese. Why am I making that?
I know, it's like, what the fuck? Fuck, man. I mean, one of the things we made in woodwork, no, I don't think this was even woodwork, it was like metalwork, was we made a trowel. And I'm like, I'm like, I'm 14, do you think I'm doing gardening? What?
That's right, we made a trowel.
Why the fuck am I making a trowel?
That really was weird.
What an odd thing.
Like, I'm kind of glad I made it because, I made a trowel, but I don't know what that trowel is. That's long gone.
Aye.
And
I still possess one thing that I made in woodwork class in high school.
Can I guess what it is?
Okay, guess.
I think I know what it is.
You might have seen it before, potentially.
Is it the CD rack with your initials on it?
Aye. I still have that.
I knew it. You're never throwing that out. You are never throwing that out.
I still have that shit, man.
You've moved house 4 times, and I'm convinced that that's your prized possession.
I don't even use it. It just sits in the closet. I don't own any CDs. I don't own any CDs. I don't know why I still keep it. I was just going. It was like it's one of the things where I'm like, I made this, so I'm just gonna keep it. It's not even that. It's not even that good. It's just like it's not even that good.
It's like a time capsule. It's like a time capsule. Like when you lift it up, and or you feel it. Like obviously in your brain when you first made it, you were a lot smaller, so it's maybe a lot heavier. Maybe that's why you keep it. It's like a time capsule.
Aye.
What are you having for dinner tonight? You don't know?
I mean, to be honest, most likely it'll be some chips and chicken, because that's usually that's all I've been eating recently, is just some variant of chicken with chips and peas.
I was going to say, you need to get some good greens in there.
Aye, I've got some garden peas. That's like one of the few vegetables that I very much like the taste of, and I enjoy eating. So
you really should just like turn around and be like, I'm having lobster bisque, or I'm having beef Wellington, or
oh, I'm making couscous.
Couscous. I would pay to watch you make couscous.
I don't even fucking know what is in couscous.
It's kind of like a... It's a rice, but it's not really. I don't know actually what really couscous is. I know it's... Is it Moroccan? I think it's Moroccan.
I couldn't tell you.
I don't know, but I don't
tell you.
like it anyway. Whatever it is, I don't like it. I think I'm having some beef and roasted veg tonight.
That sounds pretty
But
nice.
it's probably a good time to kind of round off the episode there. It has been a great delight.
It has been.
It's been a lovely delight. And tomorrow we're going out for coffee. We're going out. Tim Hortons. Have you tried Tim Hortons?
I haven't. I've seen it and I know of it, but I've not tried it.
Canadian coffee company. They do this really. It's like a... I don't even know what it is. A cruller? I don't know. It's a donut, and it's a really nice donut. Put it that way. So yeah, that'll be fun.
That'll be a fun time.
But thanks for listening, guys. It's wait, this is number 14, isn't it?
Yes.
Next week, I think we should do a wee spooky episode.
I don't know what that would entail exactly, but sure.
Just being spooky. Maybe tell some ghost stories or talk about guising. Do they know about the guy? Do they know about the guising?
I've spoke a wee bit about guising before on stream, like talking about how it's a bit different for like trick or treating in the US and stuff. But we can talk about it on the podcast for sure. Maybe tell some stories if we remember any interesting ones from when we were kids guising.
I would love that. A wee spooky episode, spectacular.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for listening, guys, and tune in next week for our spooky episode.
See you guys then. Thank y'all for listening. Bye.
Bye. Bye.